Greetings, my fellow pilgrims. I have been wanting to walk the Camino ever since I watched that great movie, The Way, with Martin Sheen back in 2011. Like so many others, I lead a very busy life, running a successful executive and career coaching company, staying active in my parish community, and also as a trustee for Catholic Charities. I've also devoted a lot of my time in recent years in helping take care of my parents. And ever since my older brother had died unexpectedly at college, almost 50 years ago, I had always told myself that I need to be there when someone close to me was ready to pass into that next life that our faith teaches us is the eternal life with God. Well, I was blessed indeed to be there with my mom when God called her home in November 2019. And as I approached 2020, I was excited to finally be at a point in my life where I could realistically take the time off to participate in such a life-changing opportunity as the Camino. I quickly settled on a plan to walk the Camino in May of 2020 after watching countless videos on YouTube and reading many books, with none better than John Brierley's A Pilgrim's Guide to the Camino de Santiago. I hired a wonderful company called Follow the Camino, who planned every detail of my itinerary, including the various albergues and hostels that I would be staying at during each of the 34 days of my pilgrimage. This wonderful company also provided a luggage service that would safely take my belongings from one hostel to the next, so that I would only have to carry a smaller bag on my back, a comforting thought for this 66-year-old pilgrim. Of course, the onset of COVID-19 in March of 2020 got in the way of that initial plan, and like so many others around the world, I wondered if I would ever be able to reschedule my Camino and feel safe in this new environment. Well, my prayers were answered in late March of 2021 after getting my double vaccinations. I rebooked my itinerary with Follow the Camino with a departure date of August 30th to St. Jean-Pied-de-Port in France, the official starting point for the Camino Frances, with a return trip back home to New Jersey on October 5th. I trained hard for my Camino throughout the spring and summer, swimming 4 to 5 days a week and walking an average 9 to 10 miles a day, with at least 1 to 2 days a week doing a walk of at least 13 to 14 miles. This documentary is dedicated to the memory of my big brother and best friend Dennis Kernan, who I have missed dearly every day since his untimely passing in April 1972, just 2 months shy of his 20th birthday. I have tried to capture in real time all of the physical challenges, the deep emotions those physical challenges unleash, and the spiritual reawakening that occurred for me, and an experience that I believe has changed my life for the better as I enter my 67th year. Hopefully, I can remain free of those deep regrets and hurts that I have inflicted on those I love, and the many needless anxieties that often invade my future. I am ready to focus my life in the now, and in the hope that I can stay in the present and just be grateful for all the blessings the Lord has gifted me with. I hope you enjoy the film, and Buen Camino, my friends.
Buen Camino. Buen Camino, guys. Buen Camino.
restful night at my first albergue and a great breakfast, I headed over to the church to light candles in memory of my brother Dennis. I knew the heavy rain would make the steep ascent through the Pyrenees a real challenge, and shared this opening reflection of what I was hoping to accomplish.
I'm going to try to learn a lot about myself and about others and how I can hopefully become the best version of myself. This is day one of the Camino. It's going to be grueling. I'm going to ask God for the strength to get through every part of this as I climb the Pyrenees.
I began my walk in a torrential downpour that significantly reduced my visibility, unleashing major anxiety for the more than 4,000-foot elevation ascent that was ahead of me, and for which I suddenly felt ill-prepared for. Several hours later, I stopped for coffee at an albergue in Orisson and made the hardest but also the best decision of my entire Camino. Many other pilgrims like me were also feeling challenged by the rain and the steep ascent up the Pyrenees, and fearful of not being able to make it the rest of the way to Roncesvalles, which was still 5 to 6 hours away. As many of us talked things through, the albergue's owner called us a taxi, which took us to the next hostel in Roncesvalles. I was initially crushed by that disappointment of not making it there on my own, but I learned very quickly that everyone's Camino is different and unique, and that it's important to listen to what your mind and your body are telling you throughout the experience. Looking back, I'm so grateful that I made that decision on day one, because I was able to finish each of the remaining 33 stages, and I'll never know what may have happened had I decided to try and walk all the way to Roncesvalles. As I was finishing the 19-mile walk on day 2 from Roncesvalles to Acarreta, my fellow pilgrim Steve, a dentist from Tampa, Florida, reminded me that I would get stronger with each additional stage and to leave that disappointment of day 1 behind me. I'll always remember his encouraging words that day that helped motivate me for the rest of my Camino when he said, "Jack, all you have to do on any given day is to walk, and just make it to the next albergue on your itinerary." Even though I felt I was getting stronger with each additional stage that I completed, you also begin to realize that the physical challenge of the Camino stems not just from the steep elevation changes from one stage to the next, but also from the variety of terrain of any given stage, including wooded tracks, gravel paths, rocky trails, rural roads, cobblestone streets, and paved thoroughfares, all of which can cause painful blisters, or in my case, the onset of plantar fasciitis.
I'm nearing the end of day 2, and the terrain here is really difficult with all the rocks. That's the hardest part. I thought the elevation change was hard. That's probably still number 1.
The physical challenges of those first 12 days of my Camino helped to unleash some deep emotions for many of my loved ones.
So I have a great memory of Dad. When I was about 6 years old, Dennis and I used to go with him to Mass at Mount Carmel, and on this one Sunday, we get to the church and Dad said, "Hey guys, we're going to Al's and Harry's for breakfast, but don't tell your mom." Dennis and I went to Al's and Harry's and had breakfast with Dad, and we didn't tell Mom. And I was just thinking about that as I was walking today, and how much fun it was to be with him. Love you, Dad. This one day in Pennington where Mom and I don't remember what store we went to, but we got everybody rollerblades. And I have this great memory of the 5 of us rollerblading through Pennington, through our neighborhood, and also at the end of the experience, it started to rain out, and so that's why I'm thinking of it. And I think we went back to the house and just had a big breakfast or lunch, but that just really tugged at my heart. And I thought about all the times we used to do things together. We did a lot of home improvement projects, wallpapering, painting, decorating, and she really taught me a lot of life skills. And I was thinking about how she really was a master motivator. She knew how to make me want to do my best, and I'm really grateful for that.
As I headed into the city of Burgos on the evening of September 12th, after a grueling 18-mile walk, I found my heart filled with lots of love and affection for my parents, my brother Dennis and my 3 siblings, my wife Jean, my 3 children and 2 grandchildren, and my sons-in-law. During the past several days, I had recorded a personal video expressing my love to each of them, as well as to a host of very dear friends, each of whom has had a profoundly positive impact on my life. As I departed Burgos on day 13 of my pilgrimage and officially entered the Spanish Meseta, that long stretch of the Camino Frances that extends through to Astorga and is renowned for its long stages, empty landscapes, lack of shade, and the big skies, I decided to walk alone and began to dig much deeper into feelings and emotions that I had never tapped into before. A steady rainfall during many of these days provided the perfect environment for self-discovery, and it was as if the Camino had a way of saying, "Jack, don't be afraid. Let go and let God do the rest. Just let it all out." So I would speak openly into the camera to record what it was I was feeling, and often the reflections touched on my regrets, on my sinfulness, on some of the pain I've inflicted on others, and the pain I have inflicted on myself and have been carrying for a long time, setbacks and disappointments in my life and career. During this emotional stage of the Camino, my tears were uncontrollable, coming down like buckets of water, particularly when I tapped into several topical areas that I was never comfortable enough to explore and dig below that surface.
Worried about alcohol and how it was affecting you and our family. And I have you to thank years later, because when you gave up alcohol at 65, you and Uncle Danny motivated me to do the same. And I know I said it to you a couple of times, but I'm going to say it to you again on your birthday, how grateful I am that you showed me your way was my way, and for me it meant not having any alcohol, and I had you to look up to and Uncle Dan to look up to. We all carry lots of stuff in our backpacks. It's a good metaphor for all the grief, regrets, the losses, the disappointment, and a lot of other things that may have happened in life. And until we sift through them, journey through them, we carry it. And I've realized that a lot in this Camino experience, and I'm trying to let them go. I'm trying to free myself of particularly the regrets, the behavior sometimes I've exhibited with my family, and the losses that I've experienced in my life, human as well as occupational. And so the backpack becomes a metaphor for what you carry. And the Camino is an opportunity to try to let that go. And that's what I'm trying to do on this Camino. Buen Camino.
I miss you. I miss all the times we had together. And I miss all the things that I hoped we were going to be able to do together as we got older. And I wish I was there with you when you passed into God's hands. I really can't fathom what it was like for you in those last moments, waiting in line at the bank, and none of us were there for you. You were a great big brother. I think of you every day. You're the biggest loss I've ever had in my life. And I know that my faith teaches me that we'll see each other again someday. And I hope your little brother has lived an honorable life that you could be proud of, because I had big shoes to fill. Your shoes, my great big brother, the one person growing up who was always there for me, was always thinking of me, teaching me. And I'll never forget that, Denny. I love you so much. And I hope I see you again. God bless you. How much pressure I felt to carry everybody. And I think I've been carrying that pressure my whole life. And I just hope people know I'm just doing the best I can. I'm far from perfect, but I know my heart has always been in the right spot. So I'll never have my senior year back. I'll never have my brother back. But I want to do better. And I want to be there for the people in my life. My children, Jean, my grandchildren, my sons-in-law, Maddie, Mary Carter, Kathy. You don't get do-overs. All I can do is to do better. And with the Lord's help, I will. Buen Camino.
When I was a sophomore in high school, my dad lost his job, and that really made me think a lot about finances and whether I'd be able to go to college. I thought basketball was probably my ticket to a scholarship. And then when Dennis died, I certainly knew that I was never going to be able to go away to college. And so that experience and the pain and anger and disappointment that was inflicted on me in that period of my life, I'm sure I've carried with me my whole life. And again, never wanted that experience to fall upon any one of you. And yet, even though it was a noble goal to kind of shield you from what your dad was going through, I was ill prepared for the psychological, emotional things that were going on in me, inside of me, that really, really needed professionalism. Something I was resistant to undertake because it wasn't popular at that time. So, again, I share this with you not in any way to justify anything I ever did during that period that made life extremely difficult for you. But just to try to give you context for my lived experience, how my lived experience really impacted the way I was and the way I am now. And my hope is that that maybe by knowing that, then each of you might be able to find a way to move through whatever pain that experience has caused you. So I share that with you. And thanks for letting me do that. And I love you very much.
I know very well, always have, what some of my burdens are. There are things like the sins you commit against others who you love. It's the way you sometimes treat people. It's the regrets you have. It's the disappointments you've had in your life, the losses you've had in your life. There's a long list of burdens that all of us have. And for me, I realize now more than ever, when you carry that stuff in your backpack, it weighs you down. And I so don't want to be weighed down anymore. Each of you have forgiven me for my sins and my transgressions. God has forgiven me. But there's something about forgiveness that's hard to accept. You have to forgive yourself. And I'm hoping that through this experience, I can forgive myself for all the ways, all the times I haven't been the person I thought I was, that I know I could be, and that I know God wants me to be. So I think the tears are starting to come because I know I'm getting close to that moment, and Mom knows I've got the rocks in my bag, and I just so want to let go of that burden and move on. Let go and let God do the rest. So I hope I can do that. Buen Camino.
Dear younger me, where do I start? If I could tell you everything that I have learned so far, then you could be one step ahead of all the painful memories still running through my head. I wonder how much different things would be, dear younger me. Decide, do I give some speech about how to get the most out of your life, or do I go deep and try to change the choices that you'll make, 'cause they're the choices that made me. And even though I love this crazy life, sometimes I wish it was a smoother ride, dear younger me. Dear younger me, oh, if I knew then what I know now, condemnation would have had no power. My joy, my pain would have never been my word. get hurt. Dear younger me, it's not your fault. You were never meant to carry this beyond the cross, no. Dear younger me, you are holy, you are righteous, you are one of the redeemed, set apart a brand new heart. Oh, you are free indeed. And every mountain, every valley, through each heartache you will see, every moment brings you closer to who you were meant to be. Dear younger me, dear younger me, you are holy, you are righteous, you are one of the redeemed, set apart a brand new heart. Oh, you are free indeed. You are holy, you are righteous, you are one of the redeemed, set apart a brand new heart. Oh, you are free indeed. You are holy, you are righteous, you are one of the redeemed, set apart a brand new heart. Oh, you are free indeed.
Mother tragically when he was only 20 years old. That day also proved to be one of the most challenging days of my pilgrimage, as the descent from Cruz de Ferro to Ponferrada of more than 900 meters took place over some of the rockiest terrain I had yet to encounter, and was made even more challenging by a heavy rain and intense fog that limited my visibility. But with the burdens of my past now behind me, I soon settled into my room, grateful that the God I believe in had turned this broken 66-year-old man around, and I was now more determined than ever to do the hard work ahead and become that man I know He has always wanted me to be. So many times throughout my Camino experience, I couldn't help but think back to my favorite scene in the movie Field of Dreams, where just like the lead character Ray Kinsella, I found myself saying, "Jack, is there a heaven?"
Is there a heaven?
Oh, yeah. It's the place dreams come true.
For me and the other pilgrims, it felt as if we were experiencing what heaven must really be like, and the way my own life could be back in New Jersey, and for society at large. I was able to meet many pilgrims from all over the world, 17 countries in total. Random acts of kindness and generosity were in abundance throughout my 34-day pilgrimage, with one pilgrim always helping another in any way they could, greeting you with a simple Buen Camino, that endearing term that simply means good walk or good way. Some of the pilgrims I met were young and some were even older than me. They were men and women of varying shapes and sizes, with different levels of fitness and experience in hiking, with each pilgrim learning to walk at their own pace, not someone else's pace. In walking the Camino de Santiago, I discovered that special place where everyone truly becomes your brother and sister, and where equality reigns supreme, with no distinctions whatsoever about a pilgrim's age, race, gender, sexual orientation, or even economic class. Rather, the Camino was just that simple place where each pilgrim would look out for their fellow pilgrims, sharing the true gospel message of Matthew, "Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself," and sharing a common experience of just trying to find their own way in the world. Some people like me were walking the Camino for religious reasons, or seeking a deeper spirituality in their daily life. Others came after suffering a setback, a hardship, or a painful loss in their life. Still, other pilgrims had come because of how the pandemic had impacted their daily work-life balance, and hoping that the Camino could help them discern a new way forward. As I departed Ponferrada on Sunday morning, September 26th, I began to see with much more clarity how the Camino had changed the way I will look at my life and my future. The physical challenge had tested my body and inner soul in a way that I had never experienced before, and did allow me to tap into those long-held and deeply felt emotions that I had been reluctant to unpack before. To hear myself verbalize all of those things that had been weighing me down in the backpack of my heart, and to also express the feelings I have for my family and friends, whom I love so much, was liberating, healing, and a transformative experience of my body, my mind, and my inner soul. Leaving those lifelong burdens of my past behind and those anxieties of my future at Cruz de Ferro allowed me to embrace more fully what I think the Lord has been calling me to do at this latter stage of my life. And I had my first inkling of where this Camino experience was leading me to as early as day 8, as I spoke into the camera of what I was sensing.
A good part of my life, I've had a tendency to scratch the itch of the past and some of the challenges and disappointments, setbacks I've been through, but also scratch the anxiety I've always had about the future, about the uncertainty, about the not knowing what all the potential outcomes can be. And I think what the Camino is teaching me so far is that I got to be in the present. And when you're here and you're by yourself and you spend a lot of time by yourself, you know that you have to be in the present to make it to that next stop, which is really the only objective on any given day, is to get to the end of the stage. And so my hope is that I can take that insight with me and push away the past worries, the past regrets, the past hurts, push away the fear I have of the future, and just be happy to be in the present with whomever I'm with. And hopefully that will be my family, my grandchildren, and especially my wife, Jean. Buen Camino.
And later that day, a powerful reminder that with all of the churches throughout this beautiful country called Spain, a reminder that God truly is everywhere.
After 8 days, one of the beautiful things you realize is that every city or town you go through, you can see a church in the distance. And for me, it's a friendly reminder that God is everywhere and He's ever present. And I know for me, a lot of times I don't see Him. I don't look for Him. I don't hear Him. And that's one thing I want to do, be more intentional about, is looking to see God in all things and all people, which is a great Jesuit philosophy. And so whether you're a practicing Catholic or whatever your faith may or may not be, whether it's a church, a synagogue, a mosque, it's just a reminder to me that you don't need to call God, you don't need to text Him, you don't need to email Him or tweet Him. He's always there, you just got to talk to Him. And I'm going to keep talking to Him. Buen Camino.
I've always had trouble sitting in discomfort, so I would check as many boxes as I could, always welcoming all the new tasks that would fall on my plate. It kept me busy and super productive, and I loved taking on new challenges to climb every new mountain I could, as I was the classic overachiever. But in that experience, I would often miss special real-life now moments that I now know I will never get back. Fortunately, the Camino has given me many memorable now moments that I will treasure for the rest of my life, especially the opportunity to meet some really special pilgrims from all over the world and to meet so many lovely local Spanish people who went out of their way to take care of me and all the pilgrims walking the Camino. I'm also grateful that I was able to learn more about Spain's rich culture and history, and to see firsthand the farmland, the majestic mountains, the beautiful sounds of nature itself, like the sound of cowbells ringing across the Spanish plains, and especially those breathtaking landscapes, which really hit me as I was finishing day 27 on my way to O Sobrero.
See in the background, the landscapes here are just stunning. And one of the benefits of this high elevation change that took place today, over 1,000 meters from start to finish, is the view I'm getting right here at the top, as you can see in the background. So if only I could do this every day, stay in the moment. Buen Camino.
But by far the greatest gift I received on my Camino was to see more clearly God's call for me to go back to my real life in New Jersey, and to celebrate more fully the gift of the present, to stay in the now in every moment and with every person I get to interact with, to celebrate all of those special communities He has blessed me with, like the clients I'm privileged to work with, both for my own company as well as at Get 5, to all those fellow coaches I get to interact with and learn from, to my friends in my parish community at St. Catherine, St. Margaret, and Spring Lake, to my special band of brothers who share their faith journey with me at Men's Cornerstone of St. Rose in Belmar, and to all those very special people who I get to work with at Catholic Charities, who really make a difference in people's lives and who restore a sense of hope, of purpose, and dignity to so many of our fellow brothers and sisters. As I finished those last few days of my Camino to Santiago de Compostela, I could hear and feel more clearly than ever what the Lord was calling me to do, which gave me an extra spring in my step as I began day 33 of my Camino.
Very happy today. Just feeling really good about this entire experience, what I've learned about myself, how I'm going to try to change as I go back to my real world life in New Jersey, and just feeling a lot of gratitude. So gonna keep my mind open today for new things, new possibilities. I ask the Lord to give me strength for this tired body to continue these next 2 days and make it to that ultimate destination.
The Lord had summoned me to just be my authentic, true self, and the person I know I have been at times in my life, and the person that God wants me to be in the future. To be a better husband, a better father and grandfather, a better sibling, a better friend, a better colleague, and a more engaged citizen of the world who can be a shepherd to those who don't have one, but are in need of one, and to fill the world with love my whole life through. If I can do my part in filling the world with love, I can become the best version of myself and the person God has always wanted me to be. As I approached Santiago on the final day of my pilgrimage, a sense of history filled my heart, knowing that I had walked on the same sacred ground that millions of other pilgrims had also walked on during these past 1,000 years, and a deep sense of gratitude and joy for the love, the support, and the constant words of encouragement that I always received throughout the Camino from my wife Jean, my extended family, my close friends, and to Father Hank Hilton, a dear friend of mine and a super special spiritual director.
Yesterday a child came out to wander, caught a dragonfly inside a jar. Fearful when the sky was full of thunder, and tearful at the falling of a star. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in a circle again. Then the child moved 10 times round the seasons, skated over 10 clear frozen streams. Words like when you're older must appease him, and promises of someday make his dreams. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in a circle again. 16 springs and 16 summers gone now. Cartwheels turn to car wheels through the town, and they tell him, take your time, it won't be long now, till you drag your feet too slow, the circle's down. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in a circle again. So the years spin by, and now the boy is 20. Though his dreams have lost some grandeur coming true, there'll be new dreams, maybe better dreams, and plenty before the last revolving year is through. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in a circle again, and go round and round and round in a circle again.